What's up, y'all? Hi. I feel like I haven't talked in a minute. That's probably not true. I know. Um, Time. Not linear. I want to talk. I'm gonna say really quickly, but I don't know. But it feels relatively quickly about this meme that I posted the other day. And it's a quote from Bell Hooks. Y'all see it? I'm really loving that, like, Bell Hooks pops up in my timeline and then is always a conversation for me. Like, always feels like a place of inquiry and a place of diving deeper. And so I say that to say, if you're following me and you haven't begun to familiarize yourself with the works of Bell Hooks, that side eye I'm giving you is real. And it's real because the ideas that we're sharing, that the people you're following on Instagram are sharing, are not new. I'm not new. My contemporaries, the other people who are brilliant thought leaders, are thought leaders in the tradition of the thought leaders before us that are giving analysis that didn't come out the damn sky, y'all. It didn't fall out our butts. It came because Black people been saying the same shit for hundreds of years. And, every generation we remix it. We, mix it up, spin it different. We might sprinkle a little different seasonings on it. And all of it for the purpose of trying to get the world to trying to get the world to actually want a taste of freedom. That's the whole point. And so if I'm naming elders in this work, if I'm naming people who've been doing this work for years, it's because they are the cornerstone of whatever it is that I'm sharing. They're the foundational piece of whatever it is that I might be trying to, pour out of my face in service towards, what I hope is, our shared freedom. So if you're not, so basically if I say Bell Hooks and that doesn't encourage you to go pick up a book, do a Google search, read an article, listen to a talk, and I try to say, and you notice I'm also trying to give you multiple ways of engaging because I recognize that we're not all the same kind of learner. But you can read Bell Hooks books. You can watch Bell Hooks lectures on YouTube. You can read articles. You can do all kinds of things to familiarize yourself with the work. And so, I ain't even gonna lie. I'm suspect. I am suspect when I see folks, saying, oh my gosh, I really, 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 I want to get this. I want to understand. I want to undo my whiteness, but literally won't read anybody who ain't the same age as them, who has not gone back and said, what did I miss? What have I missed? Because remember, Sleeping Beauties, if you remember that point from a What's Up, Y'all, back in July or in June, of course I'm in the middle of talking, doing something else, and so I just lost my thought. If you're just waking up to this, you've literally missed 400 years of work. Literally. So go get up on the work. Stop playing games. That's really just the long and short of it. Stop playing games and get to work. You're 400 years late, which means you need to be starting back in the 1800s, the 1700s, the 1600s. Go back. You got to go back in time. All right. I said all of that to say, I want to talk about this quote from Bell Hooks that right now, of course, now I'm having a hard time finding. And it's making me mad. And so I'm trying to flip through things really quickly to get to it. There it is. It is. So the quote is, how do we hold people accountable for wrongdoing and yet at the same time remain in touch with their humanity enough to believe in their capacity to be transformed? That's a question from Bell Hooks. I'm about to give y'all the answer in 2 minutes because several people have written me and been like, I'm thinking about this. Here's the deal. and this is related to the video that I did about Breonna Taylor, is you can't if you can't practice it with yourself. So first of all, the first element of this, how do we hold people accountable for wrongdoing and yet at the same time remain in touch with their humanity enough to believe in their capacity to be transformed? Half of us don't believe in our own capacity to be transformed. I'm going to say again and again and again, probably until I suck in and exhale my very last breath, that you will not build in the world that which you cannot build in yourself. So if you're asking this question and you haven't figured out how to first and foremost be accountable to you first, before being accountable, you actually have to be an acknowledgement that you too have caused harm. How do we believe in the possibility, to hold people accountable for wrongdoing? By first acknowledging that you are too a wrongdoer. And that doesn't mean that you're a horrible person. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you're never going to be good enough. It doesn't mean that no one will ever love you. It doesn't mean that you'll forever be tied to abandonment. It doesn't mean that you'll forever have to martyr yourselves. It doesn't mean that you'll forever have to be the whipping post. It doesn't mean all of your stories. It just means that you're a human with all of your fallibilities, all of your imperfections, all of your lower vibrations, all of your ego, because we all have all of that. All of us. That's the problem with deification of human beings, right? It's the problem with putting people on a pedestal, is that then we become so distanced from that which makes them human, because when we get in touch with someone's humanity, what we actually get to be in touch with is their ability to be just like us. Martin Luther King Jr. was just as trifling as a whole bunch of men that I know and other people. Mother Teresa was just as mean and snide and shit-talky. Had her own, classism. Mahatma Gandhi was engaged in inappropriate relationships and sexualizing young girls in his community. And I don't say this to defame them. I say this to make them human, to make them imperfect, to make them less than deities, but to still identify them as humans who did profound things in the world. Mr. Rogers was, I believe, a balm to the soul of the world, and he was homophobic. We are all in the complexities of our duality. Our light and our shadow, our sun and our moon, our heinous impulses and our predilection for magnificence. That is the human condition. And so if you can't accept the human condition in you, if you can't look your own harms in the face, own them, and engage in a process of reconciliation with first yourself, and then as best as possible with those that you caused harm to, then no. Then it's not possible. Then it's not possible to answer the question that Bell Hooks poses, because you can't hold it for yourself. You cannot hold the capacity for your own transformation, which means that you inherently believe that transformation is not possible for anyone. So, the answer to the question, how do we hold people accountable for wrongdoing and yet at the same time remain in touch with their humanity enough to believe in the capacity for them to be transformed, is by holding ourselves accountable for the wrongdoing we have done and at the same time remain in touch with our humanity enough to believe in our capacity to be transformed. That's how. Simple. Not easy. Simple.